So, we're starting mission number 9 in Yugi's campaign. There's something that didn't occur to me when we did the last session that I need to call out. So, Teia's starting team, 2 of the monsters here have blue medicine. Normally, by the rules of my challenge, that would not be permitted. Since that's what the game started them with, that wasn't really something I could control. But the thing is, technically speaking, I should have only used the blue medicine from 1 monster. Now, what I'm going to do may sound a bit iffy, or perhaps extreme if you're not too familiar with this game, but based on the rules of my challenge, it's fair to assume that at least one of her monsters would have been gone if I didn't use both blue medicines, and I could have just not been terrible at dodging the Berthomet. Like, I didn't have to hard beeline for the base as soon as I did. So, guess what? All 3 of Teia's monsters, and Teia as a marshal, are now banned from Yugi's campaign. And you're thinking, why would you do that? That's so extreme over just a simple blue medicine snafu. Yeah, but there's something else I need to bring to everybody's attention. So, I was reminded by some comments of people who know this game a little better than I do, that there's actually a lot of ways to break this game I had nearly forgotten about. Let's get into the mission first, because this is going to take a little while for me to explain. Yeah, this mission is not too difficult. Funny enough, this is the first time I think the time limit is actually considered like a major issue. But, let's see. So he's very weak, so they say anyway. But we can't wait too long, otherwise the mission's going to end. So this is the first time the time limit seems to really start to matter, even though, let's be fair, it actually doesn't. You know, we have more than enough time to do this based on what's going on. I believe you have to send the Harpy Lady down here to this narrow spot. Let me see. It's about down here somewhere. Anyway, the issue that we have with the campaign. So, you may have noticed that a lot of our monsters, or even the monsters here, they're spellcasters, that's the purple symbol, or like Teia's monsters are, I guess, considered spirit, and that's the whole point of using the, like the star. Not the point of using it, but a lot of her monsters are considered spirit monsters. They have magical abilities. Magical abilities are incredibly overpowered in this game, okay? There's no sugarcoating it. You can get through just about anything successfully by just using your magic, okay? A lot of monsters are not strong enough to contend with your spells. There's really no way for them to even move in a lot of cases, like they're just straight up overpowered. And this presents an issue because the whole point of doing this challenge was making the game feel more difficult, at least. And that's not really the case right now. You know, if you use... How do I describe this? So, when we recruited Summon Skull at the beginning of Mission 6, it was level 99 at the time, because it wanted to make it a difficult encounter, right? Okay, well, when it did that, it said Summon Skull would later have access to level 2 magic. He does not now, but he will gain that in the future. I need to check the items on these guys, actually. Okay. Level 2 magic and level 1 magic aren't really that strong, and you don't gain access to them until notably later. But you will by the time you clear the campaign. Unless you just do not strengthen the monsters that can do that. Level 3 magic and beyond is where things start to get a little finicky. So, as early as level 3 magic, you have a lot of abilities that can paralyze enemy monsters, and even some of the abilities your monsters gain from leveling up can do that as well. Like, the snake hair enemy we fought in Mission 2. Her attack just did normal damage right off the bat, but after reaching a certain level, and obviously the snake hair is a recruitable monster at some point in the game, then her attack also has a good chance of paralyzing an opponent. Now, paralysis in this game isn't like what you'd think of in Pokemon. Paralysis in this game is basically, like, your opponents will not be able to attack until it wears off, and it can wear off basically at random. They don't waste a turn in doing this, but it does allow you to just wail on them perpetually until they're finished. Now, if you don't beat them by the time your turns are all used up, then obviously that means they'll break free of the paralysis, and they can just continue to wail on you until all their turns are used up. But think about it, if it's your last turn and you're nowhere near beating the monster, but you've already taken out at least one on the opposing team, you can just surrender and push them back that way. It's really not that difficult to do this. So, I don't know, the best comparison I can think of, I tried saying this challenge was akin to Retro Fire Emblem or Pokemon Nuzlocke. Okay, so think about Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon, which is the one I'm most familiar with. Now, in Shadow Dragon... Okay, here we go, she found it. So you take one Harpy Lady down here in the front of the party, get access to the other Harpy Lady. And there's another monster down here I kind of want to get. Need to just make sure I'm in the right spot for it. Let's see here. Okay, so in a Pokemon Nuzlocke, pretend that all of your Pokemon's attacks inherently have the ability to inflict sleep on an opponent as early as, I don't know, let's say level 30. You know, that would be pretty dang overpowered, and you'd be able to do quite a lot of damage to the endgame in that. Even not 30, let's just say like 40. In a Nuzlocke, you're going to be grinding quite a bit anyway, so naturally you'll be able to do absurd amounts of damage at that point. Or Fire Emblem, like the one I'm most familiar with is Shadow Dragon, and in Shadow Dragon you get, what's his name, Merrick the Mage pretty early, kind of fitting, guy named Merrick I'm talking about while I'm playing Yu-Gi-Oh! So, imagine if Merrick the Mage had a move that not only was able to quickly KO an opponent with 99% accuracy, but also he was able to have an opportunity to move 2 spaces after any enemy troop took his turn. Because let's be fair, one of the hardest aspects of Fire Emblem is that you can just get blindsided by a monster, or I guess an enemy marshal is the technical term, that's way off in the distance, and you just don't expect where they're going to attack. They're programmed to attack one location, they get a lucky shot, and 1 HP, speaking of lucky shots. They get a lucky shot, and it's over. You lost your troop, and you reload the save. This game, even with the challenges I have in place, will never be that difficult, because you simply have so many options in terms of movement, and how you can get your people to quickly gang up on an enemy, or how you can bait an enemy to the side, which I should have done a better job with in the last mission. So I'm ranting about this quite a lot, I realize, but the main gist of it is, what do I do with the magic system in this game, then, to make the challenge fair? Because I limited red and blue medicine to try and make it so that I don't just have infinite heals, but obviously magic is something that will need to be addressed as well. And truthfully, I do not know exactly how to address it at this time. So this is just a rough draft. We're gonna see what happens as the game progresses, and I think it's just important to bring up now because Teia's main monster, Dancing Elf, how 1 level up and it got that blindness ability that allowed it to just make the enemies blind with, like, I don't know what the exact accuracy is. It's not guaranteed, but it's like a solid 80% accuracy at least. I just want to ballpark that. Doing that alone already makes the monsters so weak in this game, because there's not a whole lot they can really do to contest it. And again, you can just blitz one monster, usually a weak one, immediately finish off the others, or run from the others, which resets your turns in the fight, and then finish off the others. So, there's a lot of easy ways to break this game with special abilities, and getting the Harpy Lady just now, I'm able to do that. Really, you endured. I'm kind of impressed, actually. Alright, but the main gist of it is that we'll figure this out as we get there, and don't be surprised if I put kind of a sudden rule set limitation on, or after we finish this first campaign, I have to reenact how I'm going about this. Also, the monster I'm looking for should be like around here somewhere, I just don't know where exactly it is. But whatever the case, these enemy combinations aren't too strong. No, it's simple. They tell us that we gotta beat them in a short time limit, I'm not exactly going to haul it, but hey, we'll do what we can. Now, you still have a reasonable enough time limit to do what you need, and if I'm worried at all, I'll just send Mai to try and take care of them. I just want to get the roaming monster, that's really about it. But the location is a little suspect. It's kind of an undefinable spot, almost. That's what it feels like, anyway. And, like, that's the reason I put Archfiend of Guilford. Whoa, buddy, you're actually, ruining my main guy here. That could have been bad. I, like, looked down for a split second and just realized how low his health had even gotten. Yeah, that's the whole point of putting Archfiend of Guilford at the front of a party, is because it has such a large radius that it's easy enough to recruit roaming monsters that way. Now, it's not the largest radius in the game, not even close. I don't know what the actual largest field radius of a monster in the game is, but I have an idea, and we're going to be running into it fairly soon, okay? So just wait and see. You'll be surprised. Actually, maybe not. It kind of fits that a monster of this size has something this large. It's just, you don't really get this monster through normal means. It's one of the rituals that I keep talking about. But yeah, I think what I should do is just start sending my units to take care of the issue. Ma, you go there. Really don't know where this thing is. It's gotta be around here somewhere. Like, I know I'm foolish, but I'm not that foolish. I know it's here. Okay. Yeah, take out the Medicine Man. Medicine Dragon. That's so weird giving a dragon a piece of medicine to use when you really think about it. 13. Okay. I will take that. Would have been nice if it was a one-shot, but hey, I am absolutely not going to complain about that situation. You see, this is why we do not risk Ansatsu in any way, shape, or form. Case in point, may as well use this now. Because they're not going to respawn, okay? We're about to finish this mission in a pretty short time frame here. But, like, this is what I'm getting at, because if you were trying to do this fight normally without having your monsters jacked up with so many items, then these would take eternity. I'm able to blitz most of these guys in a few hits, and that's what you need to do. But trying to wait this out, I probably would have lost, like... I think when I would play this mission as a kid, by this point I would probably have lost maybe 2 marshals, just because they're not nearly strong enough without a lot of offensive items, and trying to play the waiting game, have the enemies waste their turn and use up the blue medicine. You know, at the beginning of the game, when you don't have powerful items, or you don't have any spells, that's kind of a necessity. But there's a very brief instance where it's like a fair challenge, and then it quickly becomes something you can override. Panic. I blanked on his name. Panic, in Chapter 6. How he had one with blue medicine, one with red medicine, and one with Monster Reborn. That's actually a kind of devastating combination early in the game. If they had more attack uses, then that actually would have been a really tough fight in the context of this challenge. But luckily, we were able to get through it without any real drawbacks, just because I had enough endurance that I could wait out the attacks. Kinda helps that the enemy AI isn't great, and they'll tend to guard at random moments, but still, you gotta do what you gotta do. And he did not do enough. I know this thing's around here somewhere, I just don't know where. So we're sending out 2 monsters now. Okay, this place has been liberated. I don't believe you get much from here. Also, something might be clicking in your minds if you've seen a certain reasonably popular YouTube video based around this game. This is not the mission you think it is. This map is going to be reused in a different campaign, and that's where the scene you're thinking of is going to happen. I swear, I don't know where it is. It's just not showing up. Right about... anytime now. I can't find it. I swear, I'm in the exact spot, but I just can't find the sucker. This is a problem. Also, another problem is I don't think I'll be able to use that best radius I was talking about, because the item we were supposed to get is here, and I actually can't afford it now. Okay, so maybe my plan of cheese doesn't quite work as I wanted it to. I'll send Tristan out there just for the sake of doing it, but... yeah. No, because even if... I don't have anyone with a discount ability. I only have constructors. Mai doesn't have discount. That would be kind of nice if she did, though. No, I guess... man, I should have brought Fizdiz, maybe. Okay, if I can't find this thing, then we're just gonna call it. Gonna send Mai out here. Joey go out here, and then you two can tag team this whole issue. I swear, I don't possibly know where it could be. Like, by now, I absolutely should have found it. This is kind of the problem, is maybe the attack radius doesn't matter as much as I think it does. Or I could just be in the dead wrong spot. That's also possible. Oh yeah, notice how they said there's a strict time limit, but we're only like halfway done now. So, the time limit doesn't really do much, it just causes an instant mission failure if you fail to meet it. There's one mission coming up where the time limit actually does kind of matter, in the sense that it has like a mildly unique loss screen, but it's not really that impressive looking, I'm sorry to say. Yeah, we straight up cannot get it. Man, this is a dud. It's really a shame too, because I don't remember having trouble finding this monster when I was younger. Weird. Alright, I'm calling it. It's really not worth worrying about. I guess I'll tell y'all, you're supposed to be able to find Sangan of the Thunder here, and... I don't know. Like, I just cannot quite find it. So I'm not going to waste the effort in hunting. As I mentioned before, we have enough monsters here that we're not really in jeopardy. I am curious, though, now that I did this little benching idea with Teia's team, like, how much this will actually matter, because, I don't know, those are some strong monsters that we lost, and maybe that's a good thing, because I don't want this challenge to be too easy. Like, we've actually gotten away with quite a lot already in this playthrough. So yeah, confusion. All you can do when your monsters are in a state of confusion, in this case, I used a magic that also buffed the attack, but confusion normally, you can just attack and info. You can't defend, you can't wait, you can't do any of that. So you're just kind of stuck into blind rage, which is not always a bad thing. It depends on the situation. I think it's that they wanted a status effect that wasn't inherently overwhelmingly punishing. Because, like, obviously in a normal playthrough, if you're just confused, but you can still attack frequently, you can do stuff, like right there. Obviously, that was a critical, but point still stands, you know? But, I mean, I talked about paralysis earlier, how that's a really powerful status affliction. There's others, like, there is poison, if you wouldn't have thought so. I think it's mostly insects that can learn that, but there's magic that can do it as well. Trying to actually remember what other status afflictions there are. There's no sleep, because paralysis in this game works like how you'd think sleep would work in Pokemon, basically. And there is... I don't know, there's no frozen either. Now, I'm thinking of only Pokemon status effects, which do not apply here in the slightest. I guess we'd have to wait and see. There might be something for, like, a specific class of enemies. Now, obviously, since there's dragon types, I keep saying obviously a lot, I gotta stop doing that, but since there's dragon types here, you might remember the trap card Dragon Capture Jar from the show. Dragon Capture Jar does exist, and it's just paralysis for dragons. It doesn't actually steal them in the fight, although that would be pretty dang epic. I'm remembering, like, the positive status effects, like there's the Super Stamina, which allows a monster to negate pretty much any status effects, and then there's the healing, like that bird fusion from the last mission, and, oh yeah, blindness, duh. Yeah, the Super Stamina negates basically any status affliction that I'm aware of. I don't think there's a way to break that, you kind of just have to wait it out. So, that's that. But yeah, not a whole lot of status effects, but they are definitely punishing when they go off effectively. And speaking of punishing when they go off, let's finish this guy. Is this attack gonna do it? Maybe. By 1 over. Nice. Well, I think that's a fair handicap. Now we are going to get into Mission 10, which is where things start to get a little more interesting.